A new monetary reset backed by gold.
That, China will initiate a digital currency. And if you saw the one Chinese news organization illustrating it, they had a cartoon, you can probably still find it on the internet, in which that digital currency is actually, they use I don't know what you call it, an avatar or something to represent it. I mean, it's not physical, it's ethereal, it's your word. But they used, a representation of it as a physical gold coin. And it was gold. It wasn't yellow. I mean, it was bright, shiny gold. And that's where they're aiming. And this is basically, I'm just quoting the former head of the People's Bank of China, in the wake of, I think in 2009, he penned a white paper in which he basically suggested, he didn't use the word gold because that would be too provocative, but to find China using the word gold in the context of backing up a currency, you really have to look at Mandarin stuff that's been written in Mandarin, in which they actually do say that. But the chairman of the PBOC, which was one of the most esteemed figures in China, said back in 2010, we need a basket of currencies like the SDR, and that has to be backed by some commodity. And that is the way the world will run. And, this sounds like a heresy, to have a basket of currencies. And when he said commodities, the only commodity that makes any sense is gold, because every other commodity is needed. You can't have something backed by something that is going to be needed in order to run the world. You have
can't be backed by oil, for example.
No, we're not of oil. They want to, very good, yes. Gold's the only one that fits the bill because it's, ironically, because it's prized for its beauty, much more so than for its industrial uses. Its industrial uses you can substitute, but you cannot substitute for its intrinsic beauty. So yes, it's gold, and they've said so much. They've actually used the word gold-backed currency as part of the Chinese dream. The party secretary in charge of gold has used that in Mandarin. You had to translate it. I did a couple of times to make sure that I wasn't saying something that was way off. And yes, I think it will be a basket of currencies, and that basket will be backed by gold. And that's not such a heretical statement. In fact, history, and this I did not put in my book, and I wish I had, but the best economies that we've had in this country, the U.S., I'm not talking about Ireland, but I'm talking about the U.S., were the economy, the 50 years or so that followed the Civil War, 1870, not quite 50 years, to maybe 1910, to the beginning of the First World War, was gold-backed. That was an economy that was so good, that productivity grew so fast that you actually had deflation in the context of very rapid growth because of productivity. I mean, it allowed prices to fall rather than rise. And that was 40 years of, a nearly perfect economy. When I say perfect, there's a lot of corruption and everything else that went on, the Wild West. People were, terrible things went on. But as an economy, when you look at the metrics of the economy, probably negative inflation in some years and, incredibly strong growth. That's what made America. America went from an emerging economy to an economy that was on the verge of becoming the #1 economy in the world. And, we saw that by, the Second World War, we had really, despite the Depression, realized our ascension. We were the #1 economy. And the 30 years or so, or 20 or 30 years or so after the Second World War, we were on a gold standard. And it was the Bretton Woods standards. It was a type of gold standard. And we, again, had a near perfect economy where we had relatively low inflation. There were periods of higher inflation, but they quickly were damped down without any problem. And we had very strong growth. And it was across the board growth. Everybody participated. Yes, people, that performed better and that had higher positions, they got paid more. But instead of having 1,000 or 10,000 to 1 differences between executives within companies, the highest paid executive may have made 100 times more. I mean, that's a lot. And the reason was that we had to be disciplined. That's what gold imposes. For some reason, as humans, if we're allowed to raid the candy store without any attachment, consequences, prohibitions, we eat ourselves sick. And that's what happened. When we were allowed to create as much money as we wanted, we created it. And we found ways of using it. But those ways were not the productive ways of doing it. It's really not that hard to see. And, we became very reluctant to, adopt gold again because we were having so much fun, especially the people that it fed on itself, because the rich got richer because they had access to the money. And, again, it all fell into place.
So in my last video, I did It's Time for 40K Gold. We looked at the current debt position, the current inflation and CPI position we're in. And, we asked the question, is it time to revalue gold? And it's an argument that Luke Groman and Jim Rickards have put forward to reduce our debt to GDP ratio to get us out of this mess. And I went into more detail into what Luke argues in this video, 40K Gold in Reset. And I did this video, Return of the Gold Standard, where we had a look at who might be behind manipulating gold. Jim Rickards argues that it's China. And why would China want to do it? Well, because they're accumulating gold, Jim argues, and because they want a gold-backed Yuan, similar to what Dr. Stephen Leeb argues. And I also did this video recently, gold-backed cryptocurrency, where Russia have all but said that they're wanting to develop a gold-backed cryptocurrency. And so we've got Russia, we've got China. We know they've been accumulating gold over the last decade, but even more so in recent years. Russia's definitely got the best debt to GDP ratio out of any advanced economy anyway. And do they want this gold-backed cryptocurrency? Is that where we're headed? Is that the new financial system? So I also did this video, Financial Reset Gold and Silver, and it's goes into a little bit more deeper kind of who or what is really going on. Ultimately, that our current monetary system is now on its last legs. It's on its last legs, and it's about to fall over. And what replaces it? What do we move to? Well, we know central banks are developing central bank digital currencies. The question is that going to be more fiat? Is that going to be just more government control? Is that going to lock those of us out of the financial system that don't behave or don't do as they're told? I mean, what we've seen over the last 2 years from governments and that authoritarianism that we've seen, especially across the West, is quite frightening to think of, where we're heading and, the World Economic Forum and what they want and their plans. And I've done many videos on that as well. So it's, a little bit frightening. Now, what I do want to highlight and also recommend, if you guys haven't, if you guys firstly don't follow David Morgan's The Morgan Report, and you're crazy and you're missing out, especially if you're a silver investor. But I've just noticed recently, and I've watched a lot of these videos. So he's done these silver PSYOP videos that you can see here, and they're quite interesting. And recommend that you guys watch that. He's also done these cryptocurrency, crypto conspiracy podcasts, and he's done 17 of them at this point. And yeah, look, watch him with an open mind. I certainly do. I don't believe everything I've heard in those podcasts. I don't dismiss everything I've heard in those podcasts. There's things that I cannot prove in those podcasts. But there's definitely, I think, a lot of truth to some of the stuff, or a lot of the stuff that's argued in those podcasts. So I'll put a link in the description to all the videos that I've done so far on, are we returning to a gold standard? What's the new monetary system going to look like? The new reset. And I'll put a link to the Morgan report, and you guys can check out David Morgan's videos on this. So what's the new monetary reset going to look like? And is it going to involve gold? Is it going to be a Russian or Chinese-backed cryptocurrency, gold-backed cryptocurrency? What we do know is that we are coming to the end of this current fiat monetary system. We have a gigantic debt bubble. We've now got an inflationary problem. We are going to this crazy energy electrification, which is going to we're going to have a lack of energy, which is really the foundation of any modern economy. We're going to have higher energy costs, which is going to impact the production of goods. So even if our monetary system, even if the amount of dollars in the system just remains constant, due to higher energy costs, which will create higher input costs, we're going to see less production. We're going to see food shortages. I believe we're about to enter a next 30-year cooling period. And Felix Zalouf also is saying the same thing. Then we're going to see even more increases in goods, in the price in goods. So what is the new monetary system going to look like? Well, we'll finish up this video with a tweet from my good buddy, Ben Rickett. So Ben says, we are coming to the end of the road in terms of what the Federal Reserve can do. They do not have a way out. I believe we are heading into a hyperinflationary depression. I do not see an economic recovery or inflation returning to normal within several years. And he joins the Michael Burrys and the Professor Richard Werners in this now. Anyway, guys, what do you guys think? How much longer in this monetary system continue? And what do you think the new monetary system is going to look like? If you like this video, please hit that like button. Love to see your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again on another episode of Finance Uncut.